Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to YNA. You are not alone. I'm your host, Cheyenne, joined by my co hosts, Will,
What's going on?
Sina,
How you doing?
and Brandon.
Hi, everyone.
And today's topic is on social media. Let's talk about that. So, in today's world, social media it has an effect on people's mental health. And most of the time, it's negative. It can bring us down more than it brings us up. And when it comes to that and social media, like what would you say would be like a negative aspect of it, or even a positive one?
I think one positive thing I really have understood with social media is how I've been able to connect and communicate with people all around the world. Being able to create friendships and to be able to continue those kind of friendships and try to understand people more and get to know people more, visit new experiences, new foods, new countries, new people, new cultures. Social media has really introduced me to those kind of things, but unfortunately, like in life, a lot of good things have bad things that come with them, right? And when we think about social media, we usually think with mental health that it's a negative thing. And it's really isn't, but it is at the same time because it's such a touchy topic. With mental health, unfortunately, when we do start feeling disconnected, we start to become bored. We start to get lonely. We start to feel this sense of we need an answer to whatever issue that we're having. And so we kind of go to social media for that answer. And a lot of people don't get the positive energy that they need when they do enter social media because we're surrounded by people who are either photoshopping, faking their lifestyles, not truly showing what's going on, and they try to set up a front about who they are and what they're doing and what their ideas are. But that doesn't mean every person on social media is doing that. There's also people out there who are trying to show the other side of the light. And I think the thing that we've been getting so lost in these days is that, and I think the most important thing is we're disconnected. We're more disconnected than ever with us with a app and a system that's supposed to keep us connected more than ever, right? And so we've created this issue, and I have to ask you, Will, has there been any points of times where you felt more disconnected rather than connected with social media?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think everybody's kind of gone through it, but it's very easy to get stuck in a cycle of the endless scrolling, right? And you had mentioned that people do go to social media to see, maybe find like an answer, whatever they use, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace.
MySpace.
Yeah, back in the day. But I think a big part of that is also like people are also kind of shoving away like what's actually going on in the real world, and they go to social media to kind of cover it up, not necessarily even looking for an answer. And and I'm sure a bunch of others are guilty of that too, and for a long time too, because social media is designed that way.
With social media being designed that way, like TikTok, that it keeps throwing content towards you. It's an endless source of content that doesn't stop and will never stop because people are always posting. People always want to become TikTok famous. People always want to they see these people who are going from nothing to beginning to something once they get a certain amount of likes and certain amount of follows. And that's the issue. We're so stuck in this world of likes, comments, and follows that we lose this interaction of like just what humans need. Humans need a source of interaction. And social media is a source of interaction. Unfortunately, it's not a face to face interaction, which we do very well at and which we need. I feel like with energy, it's a lot easier to gain energy when you're in face to face conversations, when you can see emotions, when you can see the psychology behind somebody, and just to see how they react to certain things. On social media, it gives them time to react. You don't have to show who you are. You can put up a front and you can show like your whole other lifestyle. It's unfortunate. And Brandon, when you get disconnected rather than being connected, is there anything that you feel as if social media has maybe helped you get connected? And do you have any maybe positives towards social media and mental health together?
With that, I feel that with social media and a positive health, mental health to that, um, usually with that, I feel when it comes to social media, there's a lot of things that I see on there that kind of put me in more of a good mood, depending of what I'm looking for. So, for an example,
with me that kind of puts me in good moods. Like I look at a lot of inspirational TikToks. Like those are my thing. There's actually a TikToker that who I really enjoy watching. His name is Vic Blends. He is a barber, but also he goes around to certain areas. There's one that I actually watched today. He
Oh, I
was
know
in,
that.
right?
Yeah, he's hype.
He is hype. He's really nice. Um, he was in Atlanta and he came across four kids. So he asked them like, can I cut you up real quick? He starts giving them free haircuts, this and that, and he starts talking to the youth because what his mission, what he likes, is that he wants to help with the youth and also bring positivity. So he asked them, what is your goal? What is your dream? What do you like to do? So he starts talking to them, and then like from right there, I start getting addicted to those videos, and I feel that it kind of makes me uplift myself because like I always personally with myself, I always wanted to help out the youth for my own community, but also communities that also suffer, and it's always something that's been on my mind. So just taking those ideas, it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but it's just you just you follow a blueprint that someone gives out, but then you add your own twist to it. So I feel like things like that or videos like that are able to give my mindset more in a positive way. So
With social media, I feel as if we can give a voice to people who are voiceless. And in communities, when they need the GoFundMe's, when they need help, when people need to reach out for maybe some sort of medical bill, doctor bill, whatever thing that's going on in their life, there's people out there who do want to help, especially if they're very close with you, friendly, and they understand who you are. It gives the voice to the voiceless. And it's really important too to always give back to your community. I mean, here at YNA, we're trying to give this mental health information to people that are out there who are struggling with whatever they're going through.
I noticed that more. Like in recent years, like people being genuine, like on
Yes.
social media. It used to be like influencer central and like people living these fake lives, and now like you really do see a slight change in social media with people being genuine. Now there's like this genuine wave.
And I think that's so important because as social media needs to evolve, we will evolve with it. And as we slowly go down this road, I think instant gratification plays such an important part. And I know how of an important topic that is to you, Cheyenne. So maybe give us a little bit of what is instant gratification and what are the bad things about it and what can it lead to?
When it comes to instant gratification, I mean, like we live in the age of like we get everything now. Everything is just instantaneous. So when we see people at this high level or they're already producing at a high level, it just it makes us feel like this should be easy. It's because when we try these things and they end up not being easy and they actually take this amount of work, it we almost self-reflect upon that, and we just feel like we're not doing enough almost all the time. But I mean, like, I feel like a good comparison would be like when you see a professional athlete just playing any sport like football, basketball, golf, literally any sport. You're watching them play at like their best, at in their primes, and what you don't see is them working in the gym, the work that it took for them to get to that point. So all we really see is kind of their highlights in life. And that's like what we see in social media too from all these influencers. You see all their highlights, you see all their highs because nobody wants to show the lows.
And even your friends.
Yeah, and most of the time these people, it's not like they're setting these guidelines to success. They're just saying like I did this and I got this great success, and they leave out the work that it took or the specifics of it. And that's where everything kind of gets lost in translation. And it just leads to us feeling bad about ourselves because it's really not realistic for you to just jump into something and be the best at it, to do your best, to even if you give it your all, everything takes work, everything takes practice. Nothing in this world is just reliant on pure skill. And that's where I feel like we lose a lot of it.
And I feel like with passion and practice, you kind of fall in love with whatever you're doing and you kind of realize whether this is for you or whether it's not. And I think that's a great point with it. So it's like with instant gratification, once you understand the work, you're either willing to put it in or you're not. And that's going to be the final answer on whether you move on with it or not. But with instant gratification, we slowly lead to a world of addiction. And addiction itself is a whole new topic. However, we're going to focus on just social media addiction. When we get bored, unfortunately, we find different ways now to make a answer to that boredom. And with social media, it's a really quick jab, I would say. it's an easy fix to your problem.
Yeah.
It's a
You
very
need to go,
toxic cycle.
you need to go on a
Yeah.
15-minute break. I can just hop on TikTok. I need to go and find out whatever political news from whatever amount of different people. I go on Twitter. Whatever things you need, there's answers for. There's a fix for.
Mm.
And this is how it's leading to social media becoming such a negative light on mental health. Because with mental health, it's all about understanding your self awareness, understanding who you are, but then also understanding what things that can trigger you, what things are going to force you into depression, what things are going to make you feel lonely, sad, whatever it is. And with boredom, it leads you into the world of let me get my quick fix, let me get
Mhm.
my quick answer. Do you believe in that boredom is the social disconnection? And what can we do to stop feeling bored in these situations when we need a 15-minute TikTok break?
I don't always think it's the boredom, although it is like a major role of it. I think where the disconnect comes from people getting lost in the negativity of it is they're comparing themselves as one person to the whole world. Because I mean, like, our whole world is almost like all over social media, and that's what we compare ourselves to all the time. And it's not just always about, like, oh, I have nothing better to do with my life, let me just like go on social media. It's like you go on there to like not everybody just goes on there when they're bored. People like go on there for information, they go on there for how to's, they look for guidelines, because in our life we always want guidance, no matter what it is. But when we see this guidance is like, oh, you see all these people at a higher level than you are, they've reached more success, they have like more likes, more views, like whatever the case may be. It's just that's where you could really just get lost in it. And when it comes to boredom, like we're smart as human beings. Like we know what to do. I love to play basketball. I love to make music. Like I know how to do this without the use of social media. Like I know how to disconnect from it and feed like into my boredom and like find like that instant gratification for it. But again, like when you're comparing yourself versus the world, you're gonna lose every single time. So like people need to be more realistic with the goals that they set and how they view other people's and how they self-reflect other people's success or whatever it is that they're looking at, and to help better themselves as human beings.
And on a side note of that, just like the people that you do look at, especially celebrities or NBA players, any sports players, any big people, it could be related to gym and fitness. You know, the biggest people out there or the most beautiful people out there. These are the top 0.01% of the
Hmm.
population, even less than that. And
Yeah,
to
best of the
compare
best.
yourself to those people is just you can't do that.
With social media becoming such a crazy topic these days, we sort of get comfortable with where we are, and comfort is the thing that we have the biggest issue is. Once we become comfortable, we go back to the comfortability. We find different ways to stay comfortable. We make sure that when things start changing, we don't allow them to, because we want to make sure that we stay in the position that we are. And that's what can lead you to a negative aspect of your mental health, because once you get comfortable, it's really difficult to set your brain and to tell your brain to be like, hey, I want to go try this new experience. I want to go try something new. But you're like, it's something new. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the answers. And you'll never know the answers. And I think you should never, I don't think you should ever stay comfortable. I don't want to come off and say comfortability is always bad. But when you do want to try new experiences and new things, it becomes difficult. So when you are in a position of wanting to do new things, try new foods, try new places, going and finding some things that are interesting for you, and try to use social media maybe to help you find the new experiences. Use social media instead of its benefit of keeping you comfortable and comparing yourself. Use it maybe to find the new things that you want to add to your life. Because once you add new things to your life, you as a human being will start growing. And that's the most beautiful part about life, right? We want to grow. We want to evolve into the people we imagined ourselves being 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. And
Yeah.
it takes the little things in life. Again, the details can lead to changing the whole bigger picture. You can paint a whole new picture once small details get changed. As we continue to move down this road, we will find not only new things for ourselves, but maybe we learn new things about ourselves. Brandon, is there anything you would like to mention about maybe something new that you've experienced? Maybe something new that you wanted to introduce to yourself, then you use social media to kind of help you get that into that direction.
Um, to be honest, usually with social media, what I try to do to help for myself generally, it's just small little things, just like more. Just actually, I'm going back on TikTok once again. There's a TikTok that I follow. It actually helps develop a new language. Personally, me, I am Hispanic, but I don't generally speak the language well. But there is a TikToker that I do follow, and like he drops little things here and there, little phrases, stuff like that. And like with me and basically like the Hispanic community and like also like my parents and all that stuff, like it is very important to use the language around in the house, either like in the house or either when I go see family in South America. And like at times it kind of, I personally, I feel like a disconnect. And and like with that to my like my own mental health, like it kind of frightens me a lot because like I want to be able to communicate with the other parts of my family who don't speak English, but like at the same time, it's kind of like I kind of need to like kind of like put the work in. Like, yeah, I need to put the work in and able to do that. So I do use social media here and there. I know there's like an app called Duolingo. Like I catch myself on there time to time using that as well. It is a good
Great
app.
app.
Hmm.
Great app.
So
I
like
catch my.
I mean, it kind of helps you bridge together that connection,
Mhm.
and like I mean, like it's people don't normally see social media as kind of like the educational platform all the
Exactly.
time. It's always just like, bam, like right in your face. This is what it is. This is what's going on in the world, rather than, like you said, like yeah, having it really help you tap into your roots and like your upbringing and like for you like communicating with other people and like that's also important too because like half of my family is Hispanic and like another part of it is Brazilian. So I mean the like just tapping into that language, that culture, it definitely helps you connect more in person too. Like it's not just making those connections online with other people. So I mean, I think that's great. That's a great aspect of social media.
So, as you were saying, Brandon, you were saying how Duolingo has really actually opened your eyes to new social media things that you can find and that you can actually help yourself, which is great to hear. However, with social media becoming such a difficult conversation to have with mental health, it does still lead to the separation, which you, the listener, and now the viewer, needs to understand on reasons why you maybe should disconnect. And sometimes we look at disconnecting as a hard thing to do. And for me personally, I love social media. It's my business. I've worked really hard at creating great photos, creating great content. And so, like, it's hard for me to disconnect, right? But sometimes we really truly need the disconnection. And so, I want to give you some tips, some experiences that I've gone through that have helped me disconnect in little ways. And again, the small details will kind of change a lot. So one of my things is I turn off all notifications. So I try to not have any social media apps send me notifications, whether it's likes, follows, or whatever. I did that with Instagram about 3 or 4 years ago. So I don't get notifications from Instagram because it allows me to not check my phone as much. So I really enjoy it. So when someone messages me, someone likes something, I don't see it. I don't get the notification for it. So it doesn't make me check my phone as much. And again, making sure that these small details are taken care of so that you don't keep checking your phone because once you're on your phone, I feel like that's where it leads to like I'm going to go on TikTok
It's hard to
Oh
or
put
yeah.
it back down.
yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like once you have it in your hand and you're scrolling, it's hard to
Like,
stop
oh, I checked
scrolling.
Facebook, now I gotta check Instagram. Oh, now I gotta check Twitter. Oh, now I
Yeah.
gotta check my YouTube feed.
I,
Yeah.
I think the one thing that pisses me off is when I close a social media app and then I go straight back to that social
Dude, I
media
do that
app.
often. Oh my
I did
god.
that last night.
It's so
Yeah,
I was up
annoying.
till 5 in the morning, dude.
It's so
I feel
frustrating.
dumb.
It's so frustrating. Like, how did this happen? I was just off of this. But Shine, I know you have another tip that you could give the listener and the viewer. What's your tip?
So when it comes to devices and, like whatever you use throughout the day, I tend to separate it. Like I have this studio room, I got my bedroom, and before I used to just have everything inside of my bedroom. My gaming console, my computer, my phone, everything. So I mean, for me, that really created like a mental clutter for myself. And so every time that I went into my room, I would think, "Oh, like, this is the place where I relax, and it's the place where I study. This is the place where I get work done." And when you live life like that, things kinda cross into each other, and, it doesn't really help you progress. You almost kinda, like, stunt your growth when it comes to things like that. So, what I do now is, like, I have my computer here. I have the recording, area here, just the studio. I try to come in here, like, not to relax, but to actually get some work done, and it really when it comes to you and yourself, when you're trying to progress in something, you really need to separate that. And like I know you mentioned before this that when it comes to scrolling through social media, you want to leave it to one device, which I mean you should, because otherwise, like every single device that you go on, it's not like mentally gonna click with you that I'm supposed to be doing work.
Hmm.
It's just gonna start being like, I want to scroll through, I want to see what's up. And you can't really like set aside that separate time for yourself mentally with these other devices. Like if you're scrolling through Facebook on your computer, phone, on your iPad, whatever tablet you have, whatever other device, it's just like that's all you're going to see all of your devices as. So, I mean, it's good to categorize everything and kind of create this habit with all your different things, so you can kind of do little things here and there, but also be organized and not just have everything bunched in. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, really, you can't get anything done when it's
Yeah.
just all in one package.
When it's nice to you need to rewire your brain so that your brain doesn't when you have a TV and things like and distractions like that in your place where you're supposed to be sleeping, your brain thinks of it as like an activity rather than an area of where you need to get your rest. Um, as we talked about the disconnecting, using only one device for social media, I know you've had a lot of experience, Will, with doing that. Is there any tips, any advice that you would want to
Yeah,
give the listener and
definitely.
viewer?
That's a nice watch, by the way, bro. I love
Thank you.
that. For me, I used to, have everything on my phone, and I kind of just switched it up to like I have my phone on me all the time, right? Everybody always has their phone on them, so it's easy at when you're bored, like we've talked about, to just pick up your phone and be able to check everything, or that's where you post everything, all that kind of stuff. So I moved all my social media. Things that I did, I actually went like kind of cold turkey on social media for a long time. I just deleted all the apps from my phone. I deleted Facebook from my phone. The only thing I have is Messenger, just to communicate with people. That's generally my prime communication because I don't have iMessage because I'm lame. But um, so on my computer, that's where I will check Facebook if I ever need to, and I'm not even on my computer that often, so it also limits me to of checking it, every second of every day. Used to check Instagram and Twitter and stuff on there too, but that's like my place at home. So if I'm not home, I can't even check my social media. So I just leave it at that's where I would check it in my office. That's it.
See, that's the beautiful thing about these little details. Once small details start getting added in, they start leading to bigger and bigger steps, and for you to maybe realize that I need to disconnect more. And these are some little tips. There's many other tips out there that you can definitely use to disconnect. But now we want to kind of help the listener and viewer really understand on where are we now with social media? Where would be we without it? And where can we go with it? So right now, I feel as if social media is like they're understanding mental health a little bit better. They're understanding that there are people out there who are scrolling through these things and maybe physically hurting themselves to look a certain way, to do a certain thing.
I think this is just the beginning of it. Like
It,
I think this is a new change. It's
yeah.
just starting.
And with companies need to evolve. Social media needs to evolve for it to keep surviving, and that's the only way for social media to keep growing is for these companies to try to help the people who are watching it to maybe help themselves with their mental health. So we need to understand that at this moment, I don't believe they've taken the big step yet. I feel like they're just scratching the surface on trying to understand not only mental health but trying to understand how social media affects mental health, and not just in a negative way, but in a positive way. And I feel like once these companies have this together, they'll be able to create better software, to create better systems, to create better ways to help people. Because in the end, without us, social media will not continue. Without a viewer, without someone clicking, without someone scrolling, they won't have social media. So now the question is, where would we be without it? Where would we have if we didn't have social media in this world now? would we still be able to communicate regularly? What do you think, Cheyenne?
I think that we would still be able to communicate, but just we wouldn't have as great of an outreach as we do today, because um, there's a bunch of tiny, like smaller societies in this world that now have a voice because of social media. And I think that's like, it's super important for our society to progress. We need to see all these smaller communities and like kind of bring them up to speed. And I think like this past like decade has really like brought everybody up to speed, and everybody's like people try to spin like a negative light on it and say
Hmm.
that like, oh, like we're like going backwards in time, but like really like it's just we're getting people up to the same like level that we're at in these larger communities. So like I mean like in some like town like in the middle of nowhere, basically like where we're at right now, it's just
Basically,
North
like
Dakota.
we wouldn't know what the fuck is going on in in North Dakota or like just anywhere else around the world. Like we wouldn't see like social issues going on in China, in Russia, like literally anywhere. This is just an example, by the way. China, please do not ban our fucking podcast.
please.
I beg you. But like it really gives us a chance to communicate more and really give the voiceless a voice in
We
this
just got
world.
banned by China.
And no hate to North
Fuck.
Dakota, but what we need to focus on where would we be without social media? I totally agree with you guys on the communication aspect, getting to know and understanding what other people's lives are, cultures, things that open our eyes to new experiences that other cultures do that we have no idea to what they're doing.
Hmm.
Whether it could be good or bad or whatever that leads to. And now we're in this stage of where we're going with it. So, Will, how do you feel about where we're going with social media? And maybe give us some thoughts about where we're going to be and what it can be, but also what it could lead to in a negative light
Well, here's the
with
thing.
mental health, please.
Yeah, with it, where we are now, I think companies, maybe not even companies yet, but more smaller companies, especially even just individual people, are realizing how like toxic social media can be. Like they are addressing within themselves and having that ability to address like, okay, this is not good for me, and that's a good first step. I think this is all kind of just beginning, and just like you said, social media giants. Facebook, Twitter, they need people to be on their platform to make money. And right now, on the corporate side of things, that is their goal. Is however it gets done, you get them to keep scrolling. You get them to you do whatever it takes to get them to stay on this page. And I don't think that's going to last much longer. The way people are acting, for me, like I used to be that person who would look at social media, waste time, and I would feel terrible about myself. And that's another thing, just to throw in there. There's for more of a personal reason. I was a very overweight individual in high school, and if I didn't have social media to see these people who are bettering their lives and looking as awesome as they are. And again, there's two ways to look at it. You can view it as like this negative thing to say, wow, these, like, I will never be this great. Or you can turn that into a drive to create your own personal better habits. And that's exactly what I was able to do. So instead of looking at things negative, people are now looking at things in such a positive way. And I can see that through all of us, especially, but even people like I just see, like, people don't use social media for the aspect of just scrolling as much as they used to. They're able to realize like this isn't doing much good for me. And where I can see this going is I think it can go down two roads. I think people will either start to create essentially their own social media giants where, like, we have like private discords and private servers of people who are now very popular. And again, social media gave them that ability. They gave these very small businesses and personal individuals, like people streaming on Twitch, platforms to make money from. And again, it's to make money, but people who are genuine and really care about their community. And that's taking people away from Facebook and bigger social media companies. And I think these big corporations are starting to realize that, and they're going to start following suit again, like you've said, with more mental health awareness and just in the way that these algorithms work, adjusting these things. So I think more than likely we are on a positive road to positive change, and we are the reason that that's going to happen. The people, the individuals they need to be on their platform is the only way that's going to happen.
And we're very thankful for social media because without social media, we would not be able to post these things about YNA, to give you guys the mental health information that you need, to really open your eyes to maybe things that you rather maybe need to disconnect. Maybe you need to understand a little bit more about maybe the positives and the negatives of social media, addiction, the boredom, the instant gratification.
That's a big one.
And
It really is.
and we all want to come here and remind you to please, 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 please remember that you are not alone, that we're here with you. We did just drop our new YNA t-shirts. We would love
They're
for you to
awesome.
check them out. They're very comfortable.
Oh,
Super
the way
soft.
they feel.
Yeah, we have gotten great reviews back from them, and we truly, truly appreciate everyone who purchased one or purchased any of our merch. We would like to thank you because it not only supports our ideas, but it also supports a great cause. And so our hope is to always donate, give back to our communities, and to also help push this podcast to get into more people's listening, to give it to more people, to see it, to understand what mental health can do, not only for positives but your negatives in life. Make sure to always like, subscribe, and to check us out on our other platforms.
We
Thanks
want to
again,
hear
guys.
it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.